So let's move on to our next example and first get a general sense of this person through the D1. This person never married and they have always taken care of themselves financially. And we can see here that the 7th Lord Mars is combust, and often when the 7th Lord or Venus is highly combust, meaning within 1 degree of the Sun, then there's a pattern of prioritizing other life goals over marriage. And so here Mars is combust within 1 degree, and this shows that relationship commitments are set aside in favor of other personal ambitions. And here the focus shifts towards second house matters, which is building financial stability. The Karaka of wealth is the moon and is in the 3rd house, and this shows that this person is actively making efforts to create the financial security they need to achieve a desirable lifestyle. And the moon is here well supported, right? It is with manifestor Mercury and aspected by its lord and Jupiter, who is of course also the other important manifestor. And so right away we can see that this chart is so much better than the previous one, right? Of course there is a major blemish that stands out, which is here the Saturn-Rahu conjunction in the 10th house of status and achievement. And this causes delays and disruptions on the professional path. But still, when we look at the person's earning capacity and capacity for wealth building, then we can see here with Mars in its own sign, conjunct the 2nd cusp, and the Karaka of wealth also being manifested here, that this chart is very promising. So now let's analyze the Hora chart. We can see that the moon here gets similarly manifested by Mercury and Jupiter. Jupiter is even in its own sign and awake and fully capable of producing wealth. And so this chart is really the opposite to the previous one, right? In the previous example, the Karaka moon was afflicted by all the malefic planets, and here it's supported by all the manifestors, right? And there's also no affliction here either. And so right away we can see here that this points towards strong financial opportunities and growth over the course of this person's life. There will be problems too, and one of the troublemaker is Rahu. Rahu is in the 2nd from Karaka moon and has a wealth agenda. And Rahu here indicates ups and downs with finances. Rahu doesn't get any help, just a bit of comfort here from Venus. Rahu's Lord Saturn actually makes it even worse. Saturn is only aspected by malefic planets. It's also here with Ketu as well. Now Saturn itself also does have a wealth agenda because it is 3rd from the Amatya Karaka Mars. And Saturn by itself also will cause setbacks and delays with finances. Saturn though does get some help here from its Lord Moon, who is manifested here by Mercury and Jupiter. So we could say that Rahu will be the worst time and Saturn the 2nd worst. Now Mars is the Amatya Karaka and also the 2nd Lord and represents financial matters, but it gets here afflicted by Saturn and Rahu, and it will cause loss and separation from wealth. Now there is some help from its lord Venus that manifests wealth and can counteract to a certain degree the damage done by Saturn and Rahu, and also here by Ketu and the Sun. But yeah, Mars definitely is also going to cause some financial troubles as well. So now that we got some idea about the main wealth indicators, let's see when they get activated. Let's start with the Sun Dasha and have first a look at the Rashi chart and see what they're focused on during Sun Dasha. And we can see that the Sun rules the 11th lord of groups and is placed in the second house of earning money. And so their focus in Sun Dasha is to accumulate wealth through their community. And the Sun, of course, always gives leadership qualities. And here that will be in relationship to their social network. And so they are able to connect with people, influence people, and gain financially. And in the Hora chart, we can get more details about their finances. Here the Sun is the 11th lord in the 8th house. While the Sun puts them into the position to make money in the D1, here in the D2, we get the 8th house involved. And the Sun here is also aspected by Saturn and Rahu. And what happened was they actually went through quite some ups and downs in their financial endeavors. Now Mars also rules here the 12th from the Sun and becomes a minor separator for the Sun as well. And as a result, this person didn't work consistently in Sun Dasha. Sun Dasha wasn't a particularly prosperous time for them. They had enough. They had everything they needed because, the Sun does get manifested here by its lord Venus. But overall, this wasn't a great financial period by any means. Let's move on to Moon Dasha. And we have previously seen that Moon Dasha is exceptionally well manifested. There is no separating influence whatsoever. And Moon Dasha brought financial achievement and stability. And the most prosperous time was Moon Jupiter, right? It comes as no surprise. Jupiter is the most powerful influence. It is the lord of the moon in aspecting as well, and it's in its own sign, fully awake and capable of producing great wealth. The other period was Moon Mercury. That was a highlight in Moon Dasha when it comes to finances, but it was not as good as Moon Jupiter. Right? They earned more money during Moon Jupiter than in Moon Mercury. So next comes Mars Dasha. Now Mars Dasha again was a quite difficult period. It was actually very similar to Sun Dasha. Mars is the second lord, and it is also here the Amatya Karaka, the important Karaka in the D2. And so it has a strong wealth agenda and will influence wealth depending upon its condition during its Dasha. And so here we can see that Mars is afflicted by the two big separators, Saturn and Rahu. The Sun is a minor separator, but because of Saturn and Rahu's influence, the Sun now also can cause more trouble financially. And Ketu here can end a financial opportunity that they are aware of will not last for long. Now this person is a doctor, and right away in Mars Dasha, namely in Mars Rahu, they left their job as a doctor in a private hospital and as a result they lost their regular income and their finances overall became less. And for the rest of Mars Dasha, this decision caused major stress on their finances.